Bye, you guys. Thank you.
I'm going to show one more video, and then what I'll do is have more of an interactive session. You asked me to talk about insulin resistance. We'll use some slides to talk about that. You want me to talk about fasting, and I have a few beautiful slides about fasting and methods and stuff like that, and I can do that. If you want me to talk about cholesterol, what does low carb, high fat diet do to cholesterol levels, we'll do that. But before I play the last video, and I don't have to talk at all today, you guys can come here and talk. So I would encourage you after the next video that if anybody wants to take 5 minutes of fame, come here and share their stories. So this is what the session is about. I want you to come here and share your stories of what you have done so that people can learn. Please, Sarah, what about you, sir? Excellent. So we have two people who want to take their stories. So can I play one last video? It's about 6-7 minutes.
Can make your pants fall off.
Lower the
Well,
volume.
neither did I until I started eating butter and cream and bacon and eggs and fatty cuts of chicken cooked in good old-fashioned lard. I lost 145
What do you think?
pounds in 14
This
months.
format.
Eating butter made my size 54
Yeah, and I have to
fall
kind
off.
of introduce a video format to do something
I'm 50
different.
years old.
It's interesting.
I'm not a diet guru. I'm just an average working class guy, and I know my story sounds crazy, but I hope you'll hear me out. If you're fat,
Put all these links up on the Facebook.
sick, hurting, I hope you'll give me a few minutes of your time because I believe my story could really change your life. Instead of calling this video "Butter Makes Your Pants Fall Off," I almost called it "Sugar Made Me So Fat I Couldn't Sit in the Folding Chair." Because the truth is, this is me on May 8th, 2013. I couldn't sit in these fold-down chairs. You know the type of armrests that are nightmares for fat people? Me and my family had gone to my son's college graduation. The ceremony was held on the floor of a huge gymnasium in Nashville, but we had to sit way up high in the nosebleed section on one of those long, hard, uncomfortable wooden benches because I was too fat to sit in these chairs close to the ceremony. I want to tell you about how I went from that guy to this. I'm about to tell you something you might not believe at first, but fat does not make you fat. The more fat you eat, the less fat you'll have hanging over your belt. Butter is diet food for people who tend to get fat. And if saying butter is diet food shocks you, I'm going to take it a step further and shock you more. I know butter and cream and bacon and lard are fantastic, health-restoring miracle foods. I lost 100 pounds in 7 months, and another 45 pounds in the 7 months after that, for a total of 145 pounds in 14 months. Eating fat is the best cholesterol medicine. The best heartburn and acid reflux medicine is eating fat. Eating fat is the best joint pain reliever. The best weight loss medicine and the best appetite suppressant is eating fat. And listen, I'm the drug company's worst freaking nightmare. I'm a middle-aged man, and I'm not on any of their pills. I don't smother when I sleep on my back. I don't have acid reflux or heartburn anymore. I don't have cholesterol problems or high blood pressure. I don't get the shakes from sugar going too low. I used to have such severe joint pain and stiffness that I could barely get out of bed in the morning. It was painful to walk. My knees and feet hurt so bad I could only use them by grinning and bearing. And my hands and shoulders were no picnic either, let me tell you. I used to live on the leave just to make it through the day. But now I don't have joint aches and pains anymore. Drug companies can't sell me their pills anymore. I've been on a high-fat, low-carb diet every day for 16 months. And I want to share some of my numbers with you. I went from 58 inches at my belly on April 8th, 2013 to 34 and a half inches at my belly button today. I just got a blood test on August 4th, 2014. Here's my results. My fasting glucose was 79, which is great. So I'm certainly not a diabetic. My HDL cholesterol is 48, which is good. My triglycerides are 53, which is fantastic. Listen, a high-fat diet has not clogged my arteries. I went on this diet because I found out why I was fat and sick and hurting from joint pain. It was because I couldn't handle sugar. Listen, this is not something I read in the book, although I did learn it from the book. What I'm about to tell you is something that I live every day. I live this life. It's not what I read in the book. I live every day with complete control over my appetite because my fat is not locked up by high insulin levels. Getting to use these calories gives me energy all the time. And even better, I have control without using willpower or struggling at all. Listen, willpower is great. If you can exercise that willpower, that's fantastic. But willpower cannot forever overcome human biology. You've got to get the help of your human biology to assist your willpower if you want long-term success. Eating stuff like this will keep you in a fat-releasing mode instead of a fat-storing mode. Listen, your body is designed to release fat when insulin is low. When you eat fat, you're keeping your insulin low. And you're going to get to use those fat calories to burn as energy. And you're going to get to use the calories already stored in your fat to tide you over between meals and while you sleep. You know, the first thing I always hear from people when I tell them about this diet is, you mean I gotta give up my potatoes and bread? I gotta quit drinking soft drinks? Yeah, you've gotta give them up. The reason you gotta give them up is you've got a carbohydrate problem. You can't handle the sugar. You can't handle the sugar that's in those things. You make too much insulin when you eat them. Will you be able to handle it when you lose your weight? You might be able to, maybe. Maybe not. Depends on how much damage you've done to your system over the years. You'll probably never be able to eat like you did when you were young again. I've been able to add back some potatoes to my food since I've lost the weight, but I've not added back the flour and sugar, and I never will. But I want to turn the question around. Are you really giving up potatoes and bread and snack cakes and soft drinks? Or are you giving up a big belly, giving up 50 extra pounds, 100 extra pounds, 150 extra pounds? Are you giving up arthritis? I did. Are you giving up acid reflux and heartburn? I did. Are you giving up sleep apnea, nighttime breathing mask? I never had that, but I had trouble sleeping on my back. Are you giving up a couple $100 of prescription drugs every month? Or a lot of money on over-the-counter pain relievers every month? Are you giving up dying 20 years sooner than you should, or feeling like death when you're still alive? Are you giving up not being able to play with your kids and grandkids because you're too fat? Are you giving up not being able to sit in a chair? You know, you've got to see this from the right perspective.
So I thought that this gentleman was very powerful. What he added, and we have a YouTube video about why stomach acid is important for you. He gave up his acid reflux. He gave up his arthritis. So all of them have some new twists to add to it. I thought they were transformational stories. Do you mind adjusting that thing so that Sarah can use the microphone? So rather than me talk about anything today, we will just wrap up with questions and answers and talk about insulin resistance and cholesterol and fasting if you wish. But I'm first going to get Sarah out here so that she can, and so this microphone will work now, so she won't have to shout like I do.
Thanks for your Dr. Abby.
Can I ask you to wear this one also, if you don't mind? Melly, come here. Can you put? Just go ahead and put it on here.
And then just stay close to the screen so the phone camera can see you.
Oh, right.
And
Hold these. Okay. Put up.
There you go. And
All
then
right.
these can go in your pocket. I'll
Okay.
hold them.
Okay. Yeah.
My name is Sarah, and I've been diabetic, diagnosed since 2004. Yeah, 2004. And when I was diagnosed, my A1C was 9.4. And soon after, they said doctor said, you need exercises. I said, okay, what are exercise? I hate exercises all my life. So I started doing yoga. And I did yoga, and it seems my belly went 2 inches smaller. So then my sugar doesn't go down. It keep rising and back because they added medicine, metformin. And then later I learned, I went to Boston, Joslin Diabetes Research Center. Then my doctor told me, he said, weight training and running may be good. So I did that. I ran, and to the point I ran, I have to go to see podiatrist and all kind of doctor, because when you exercises, you magnify all the default you may have with your structure. I mean, like vertebrae and legs, and so all the problem amplified. So then my sugar still would not come down. So then I watched PBS, and then I found PBS. They said, vegan can reverse diabetes, can do reverse heart disease. I don't have heart disease at the time, so I said, I may just try. I went to a project, and I saw all the cattle on in the field, and they happened to be in the springtime, and they were so cute. So I said, okay, that's the sign. Maybe I should just stop eating any meat. So I went vegan for 18 months. Did not work. And I went to low-fat diet for about 3 years, and I turned into greenish color. All my blood work, everything goes bad. And so finally, my blood sugar shoot to 7.9 when 2004 was 9.4. So over time, with all the exercises, everything I did, and was able to keep it around like 6.5, that range. So then suddenly it shoot all the way 7.9, and I cried in my doctor's office. He said, I did all this. I ran, I do everything, yoga, everything. And he said, he said, it's not so bad. He said, I see people every day, 14 A1C. So he said, 7.9 is not bad. And then I do a lot of research. I said, this is a disease you will never get better. You just getting worse. There's no hope. So, and I knew each time I eat carbohydrate, my sugar goes up. So what I did, I just decided not to eat carb. And it happened to be, I found fat diet, dietdoctors.com, and Andrea, and he did the similar experience, because throughout the years I was taught to measure my blood sugar. And I noticed, so I did cut down the sugar, carbohydrate completely. My main food mainly just fat, vegetable, proteins. And then gradually my sugar comes down, and my A1C for last 3 years, and was below 5.8, range between 5.4 to 5.8. And I did not run as much. I used to run, and I have to wear orthotics. I have a hip problem. I have to visit my chiropractor weekly, and sometimes now I visit her whenever I feel like it, and I don't have pain, and my weight does not fluctuate, and so I feel I always share my story with people around me, but they think I'm nuts. But I said, you have to make a choice. Do you want to survive, be healthy, or you want to be on medicine? And there's a choice each of us have to make. So like if people want to listen to me, I will explain to them all the things I did, and how I control. And then of course I fast, like Dr. Ali said. I fast. Now I'm getting to fast more often. So I eat 1 meal a day. When I start fasting, I do 2 fasting per week. So gradually I was able to, now I get used to 1 meal a day. And I don't feel hungry, and I don't feel cold. And I used to, my hands from here, my leg down, all cold. And by the time I get off from work, my feet would swell up. And now I don't have any of those issues. And besides that, Dr. Ali knew my C-peptide, my pancreas function also come back to normal. After so many years, there was not enough insulin. First time was C-peptide 1.01.
I'll just want to clarify a few questions with Sarah. She said you went on a vegan diet.
Yes, 18 months.
What happened to your hemoglobin A1C?
At the beginning, sort of dropped because I exercise a lot, and then it dropped to 6.3, something like that, and keep going back. So it goes back to 7.2, something like that. And that's not the issue. The triglyceride went up.
So the triglycerides went
That's
up quite a bit.
the triglyceride. When I started, my triglyceride was in the 50s, 70s, because I always control the carb, because they said diabetes is supposed to control carb. So, and then the triglyceride keep going up. When the triglyceride went to 220, something like that, and I knew this isn't wrong for me because it did not work.
So if you guys were here last time, we had talked about personal fat threshold and a deep dive into insulin, and it talks about how bad high triglycerides are for your body. So if you go on a pure vegan diet and you go very low carb, your triglycerides might actually go up. And I know you have a question, and I'll get that in a second. I want to get a few more things out of Sarah for all of us. Why do you think that her pancreas recovered? She was making very little insulin, and she went on a predominantly low carb, high fat diet. Why do you think her pancreas recovered? Why did the pancreatic function came back? She said that we measured her pancreatic function, which we measured with C-peptide, which was very low. That means the pancreas is not making any insulin. But then subsequently, over time, as she practiced the low carb diet, the pancreatic function came back. Why do you think it came back? Any guesses? Yes, go ahead.
Sugar spikes.
So exactly. So what it is that when you give your pancreas rest, when you don't stimulate it by keep giving it carbohydrates, the pancreas doesn't have to work as hard, and it recovers.
Yeah, I did not know. I asked Ali, Dr. Ali, I said, it's amazing. Before it was 0.6. Now it's, for years, 0.6, 0.65. And then this January, it was 1.01.
So that's a normal range. Let me ask you one other question. What medications do doctors give you when you go them with type 2 diabetes? Do they give you medicines that increase your insulin levels or decrease your insulin levels?
Increase.
So it makes your body make more insulin. So it makes the problem worse. It kills your pancreas earlier. Let's ask one more question to Sarah before we, what happened to your LDL cholesterol?
LDL, I always have LDL high, but my HDL went from 55 to 79, pretty much consistently, 79, 77.
So your HDL went up,
yes.
Your triglycerides went down.
Yes.
Many people are wanting to treat your LDL cholesterol.
Yes, that's what I got referred to Dr. Ali and my family doctor, my previous cardiologist, and my endocrinologist. Everybody want to give me cholesterol medicine. And actually, in the past, I did take the one of the combined they took out of the shelf, and years ago that was probably. I forgot.
Victorin.
Yeah, Victorin. And I took 3 months. I feel pain here, there, and I did not like it. So, but I cannot cheat my doctor when I go to get lab sample. Oh, you're not taking your medicine? Yes, I said, no, I don't want to take it. And I said, this says they're gonna destroy the muscle, and then they will have this big gigantic muscle in their heart. So I don't think it's correct. So then went to the cardiologist, and they give me like red yeast rice. And then red yeast rice, this supplement. And then what I found was my liver enzyme went up. So I said, this is not good either. So my endocrinologist, you got to take that. Finally, I went to my old family doctor, Dr. Nenham Matthew. And he said, oh, that is very high. He said, everything you told me is correct, but I cannot do the lab test for you. He said, you've got to go to see Dr. Ali. I said, I already saw a cardiologist. They want me to give me medicine. He said, Dr. Ali would not. I said, I don't believe you. He said, I've talked with all this doctor all these years. So he said, please just do it for me. And then you will open your mind. So I went to see Dr. Ali. That's over 2 years ago. And I'm so happy because at least now I'm not in the dark. And I have a doctor, which is cardiologist. That's number one thing for diabetes is heart health. So I have Dr. Ali to look after me. So I'm so happy. That's why I come here. Every time I remember, sometimes I forget.
Thank you, Sarah. I think if you want to learn more about why the body makes LDL and LDL, whether it has any beneficial effects on the human body, there are several YouTube videos that we have that will address that. So we'll leave it at that, but if anybody has a question for Sarah, she can stay here and answer. Yes, go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I wanted to know over what period of time, your your health started giving you issues. Like how long did you
I guess I was not healthy even when I was younger. So I would, though you can see my A1C when I was diagnosed with 9.4. If you based on that from normal metabolism to 9.4, that must be 15, 20 years. I was always feeling sick, and then when the part of the worst I could ever remember is when I was sitting on the sofa, I feel my muscle was coming off from my skin, from my bone, and I don't have energy. I sit down, I fall asleep. And the moment I go home, I collapse. I don't have energy to do anything. But at the time I was so young. So I said, I was from 20 to 30. It's normal. I'm getting old. But now I'm 50 some years old. I still have more energy than I was in my 20s. I can run. I love to run. Just my dog forbid me to run at home. The coconut oil. I ran and my sugar goes up. And then I talked to Dr. Ali. He has measured my heart rate. I did all that, but the sugar's still going up. So I tried peanut butter, tried cheese, tried everything. Finally, I found coconut oil. So before I running, I take 1 teaspoon of coconut oil, and my sugar's stable. I could not explain. I asked Dr. Ali. He explained to me. He said maybe that's the reason.
She's burning fat that is derived from coconut. If you're a type 1 diabetic, when you run, the body perceives that when you're running, it needs to keep sugar levels up. And in order to keep sugar levels up, it creates several hormones like adrenaline, which is the fight or flight hormone. So that goes up, so your sugar levels go up, but people who have a normal pancreas, the insulin levels go up to keep the sugars down. But if you're a type 1 diabetic and you're not making insulin, the sugars go up without the insulin getting it down. So she would need some calories to burn, and I think that the pancreas was recovering to some degree, and the coconut oil was providing some fat calories, and that helped her.
Yeah, every morning I would take a teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoon of coconut oil. And I never feel hungry. And when I go home, sometimes I eat. It's not because I'm hungry. It's because I see everybody is eating. I'm not eating. I thought like I'm missing something. But I eat more meat. I used to not eat much beef. Now I eat beef. I eat pork, and I eat all kind of meat. And I went to Kroger, found the lard is very cheap, $1 something per box. And then the cheapest oil, and then after I listened to Dr. Ali, that's where I went to find the lard.
So one of the worst things that you get, the 3 things that if you guys cannot do, one is that don't have sugar, second don't have grains, and the third thing which would come as a big surprise to you is that vegetable oils are the worst things for your health. So when I say vegetable oils, people always talk about olive oil and coconut oil. Those 2 oils are good as long as you don't cook with them. They don't take heat well. So you can have olive oil in dressings, and you can have coconut oil, but the minute you cook with them, they get oxidized, they would not be good. But all other vegetable oils are the worst enemies because they cause inflammation. So with that, maybe we get you up here. Come on. Thank you, Sarah. A big round of applause for Sarah, please.
Let me make that.
I'm Cliff Chatham, been a patient of Dr. Ali for many years now. Is this loud enough?
If you would hold this one mic in your hand, it might work a little bit better. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one.
This one.
I'll put this back.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Jesus. Yes.
Let me start over. I'm Cliff Chatham, a patient of Dr. Ali for many years now. I forget exactly what year we started. But in 2014, my internist recommended that I start on diabetes. I had diabetes and needed to start on medication. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be chasing numbers the rest of my life. I'll change my lifestyle. It took me a while to figure out exactly what to do. I was talking to a friend eating breakfast one morning, and he said, get hold of Dr. Richard Bernstein's book on diabetes and how to control it. Type 1 diabetic who had come to the realization of 30 milligrams of carbs a day was all you could handle. So that was a clue to me. And one of the other things was Butter Bob. I used to watch all of his YouTubes and couldn't believe it at first, but it really worked. The butter really made a difference. And I want to say my wife being extremely good from the standpoint of being accommodative to what we needed to do to make changes. The real change for me was that I went on a low carb diet and did that for roughly a year. And whenever I needed to break away from it, in other words, the urge to snack, I would go eat some protein, get a hunk of meat, piece of meat. It would immediately satisfy the urge for carbs. And that took care of me for a long time, for at least a full year. Then we started hearing about the ketogenic diet as being the approach to take. I can't remember the names of the different doctors that have done the research on this. It goes back for a number of years, but there were two key doctors that have been doing it for a long time. And I've watched a lot of their presentations. They did a lot of it down in Australia, in Australia. There was a group there. They do a very good about blood sugar control and this type of thing. But the ketogenic diet and the benefits of it was really represented quite well. Dr. Lee has, of course, been a proponent of this approach, has been a confidence builder for myself. I was able to take A1C from, it was 6.9 is what I'm remembering, to where I'm 5.1, 4.9. I don't think I've actually gotten to that point. But there was one time when I was in the hospital, I refused to eat the carbs that they were serving for the hospital food. I ate just the protein, and my wife brought me nuts and cheese, and that was what I ate. My A1C really dropped down where I remember seeing a result of 4.2 is what I think it was. So it can really be controlled if you do the right things about no carbs. The other person that I think is really key is Dr. Jason Fung as far as fasting. It's an approach that he has studied it quite a bit, and I do basically 1 to 2 meals a day and some snacking in between, which the snacks are going to be walnuts and a tablespoon of butter is one of my favorites as far as a snack. But I've stayed away from fruit. I haven't had any in years. Just this last week was the first time in the 4 years that I saw a pizza, and I had a piece of pizza. And as a matter of fact, we really enjoyed it. We went to the park and ate it. But it was the first time that I've made an exception to something like that, to where pretty strict control to low carb, and it really makes a difference on control. I do appreciate Dr. Ali, the confidence that he has proposed on this type of approach for a lifestyle. It works. I have a close friend who lives outside of Atlanta that has had a weight problem. He's quite athletic, so it's not like me. I'm not much for exercise, but he had gained some weight, got up to 195 as I recall, and is now at 170. I told him to start the ketogenic diet, which he did. He's now interested in trying to see, you just gave him the approach to look at the LDL. His doctors are complaining about his LDL being too high, and that it needs to be broken down, and that's what he's striving to get done, to get the lab results and get the analysis as to what he needs to do further. I just have complete confidence in this approach and encourage others to go with it as well. Thank you.
Would you mind sharing about your heart condition, or?
I've had all kinds of heart issues, or health issues, let me say. I've had polio, I've had bypass surgery, I've diabetes, or have been diabetic. I've had colon cancer, and I think that's about wrapped up.
But you beat colon cancer very easily, and
yes,
you're cancer-free.
Cancer-free. As a matter of fact, it never penetrated the membranes of the colon. So in 32 nodes that were tested, everything was fine. So it's stopped.
Can we talk a minute about your cholesterol? When you are on this diet, is your cholesterol high or low, your LDL cholesterol?
It started elevating on me, and the part of the pattern is a type A, and which took me a little longer to get to than what I was hoping for, but it did get to type A, and I'm pleased to see that.
So what Mr. Chatham is saying is that he's got the large and fluffy kind of LDL, which is called pattern A, which is beneficial, but his LDL levels are high. How many doctors have tried to put you on cholesterol medicines?
That's one of the best stories I have about being in the hospital, is when my internist and Dr. Ali are good friends, and to have both of them there in the room talking, visiting, and then for them to be wrapped up and start walking down the hospital hall, and you can hear them going back and forth. One believes in ketogenic diet and the other does not.
So did you have side effects from cholesterol medicines?
Yes.
And are you taking them now?
No.
So I would like you to understand that you have not taken them for a number of years, right?
Correct.
And is it at least 3 years?
Yes.
And I have done a few stress tests on you on have you had any heart problems in the last 3 years?
I've had just the atrial fibrillation and I forget what it's called,
the TIA.
TIA.
I'm not sure if that was a
We're not-
TIA or your blood pressure falling from being on a low carb diet.
Okay.
And I kept telling him that your blood pressure is falling and that's why you are having those dizzy spells or those spells, but and finally that got better when we cut your blood pressure medicines down.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of blockages, in terms of repeat stenting, in terms of chest pain, have you had any of those since you stopped the cholesterol medicine?
None.
And you have eaten all this fat all these 3 years,
Yes.
and you should have all those blood vessels clogged.
Fortunately not.
All right. So I think that to me, this was very useful. We should give another big applause to Mr. Jackson.
Oh,
So tell me, is there anybody else who wants to come here and share this story? Come on here, sir. Come on up.
I know I can transfer
what
this.
we'll do is that we will go for another 15 minutes, and then we will stop, and me and my team will
can't
stay
see
here and
this.
answer questions.
I can't
And
see.
from the next month onwards, we'll go back to the regular format and go from there. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tony Moody, and about 2010 I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. I was sent to this very room to meet with a nutritionist, and she told me how many tortilla chips you could eat when you went to Papacitas and all this thing. And I started out on metformin and kind of had ups and downs, and then got on glyburide as well. At one time I was taking 1,000 milligrams of metformin twice a day, 5 milligrams of glyburide twice a day. And here about 2.5 years ago, I had problems with my kidneys. My kidney function, the creatinine level was 1.56. I was sent to a kidney doctor, and he said that I'd lost half the function. He did some further testing. He said, no, you haven't lost half the function, but your kidneys have to work much harder than a normal person's. And at this time, the doctor took me off of metformin, so I was just on glyburide. And back in July of last year, I started the keto diet. A month before that, I had blood work, and my A1C was 5.9, taking the medicine. 3 months after I started the diet, 2 months after I started the diet, I'd lost 35 pounds, and within 4 days of starting the diet, I had to quit taking the glyburide because my blood sugar was going too low. And if I'd have known what I was doing, I probably could have stopped the glyburide as soon as I started the diet. And when I got my next numbers, my A1C had gone from 5.9 on medicine to 4.9 without any medicine. And now, my last lab work, my kidney function is a 1.1, which is well in range. My testosterone levels are higher. They're in normal ranges now. And my joint pain's less. And like the guy said on the video, I don't have heartburn anymore. And actually, I did all this before I got to go to Dr. Ali. I'd heard about him, but I went to him because after all this time and all these great results, I still have blood pressure problems. And part of that stems from working shift work, as I understand it. But he changed my medicine this past Tuesday, and I'm already having to cut back on medicine. My blood pressure's getting better.
You want to share how much weight you lost over what period of time?
I lost 35 pounds in 2 months. I went from 198 down to about 163 and 164. And I went from size 36 pants to size 32. The 36s were kind of snug. So I've done that.
Do you have any words of wisdom to give about heartburn and this diet?
Well, all I know is that since I've been on it, I don't have the heartburn. I don't have to take Tums anymore. I don't ever wake up in the night where I'm drowning in my own acid, yeah. So, then, you know, I've tried to spread the gospel, but I have people in my family and in my wife's family that they're diabetic, but they say, well, it's a controversial diet. No, it's the diet. I don't understand. You know, anybody I know that's seen what it's done to me should be all over it. But
It's great. Anybody else? We can spend 10 minutes and answer your questions. Anything that you want to talk about, insulin resistance, fasting, if you want to talk about cholesterol, go ahead please.
I don't understand the proper way that you do that.
I'm sorry.
The proper way to do
Fasting. So what we recommend is what is called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting means that you have breakfast, and the breakfast that you have should be a ketogenic breakfast. Ketogenic breakfast means that you can't have carbs. So it would be eggs, bacon, butter. You can't cook those eggs in vegetable oil. You can have avocados if you need some roughage, although we promote animal sourced food diet, and I've had several patients who've come back just eating animal food, not constipated at all, doing well. And then you don't eat anything for the rest of the day until the evening. You can drink water. If you get dehydrated and you feel like you are a little down, you can have Himalayan pink salt in the water along with a squeeze of lemon. You can have black tea, black coffee that does not have any calories added with sugar and cream. And then you have an evening meal which also has to be ketogenic. Ketogenic meaning that it should not have carbs. So if you did that, that means you gave a 12-hour window without any food, and you remain ketogenic, which means without carbs, then for sure you will drop your insulin, for sure you will drop your blood pressure, for sure your diabetes will get better. And a side effect of all of this will be that you will also have weight loss. We don't recommend 2-3 day fasts. If you're going to do 2 to 3 day fast, you got to come to my office every other day, get your blood work done because your potassium can fall. You can have all kinds of issues. Your magnesium can fall, so I may need to check them and supplement you with those electrolytes. In addition, you go through the first 2 to 3 days really suffering. You suffer because your body is not making enough fat. When you stop eating carbohydrates, the body mobilizes the fat. The fat comes to the liver, it gets converted to these small molecules called ketone bodies. So it takes about 3 days for you to ramp up those ketone bodies to a level that can supply all your energy needs, and the body doesn't depend on sugar. If you listen to Ramon Issa, the first guy, he said, 3 days I felt terrible. It was like I was a drug addict who was withdrawing from morphine. But on the 4th day, he had all this energy. He felt better than at any time before, because by that time, his fat was burning at such a high level that his ketone bodies had ramped way up. So you have to suffer for 3 days to go to that 4-day benefit, and I don't recommend that. You get probably just as much benefit by doing a 12-hour fast 4 to 5 days a week. How many times should I do it? It depends on who you are. If you are thin and athletic and exercise a lot, you probably can do it 3 to 4 times a week. If you have a body mass index of 35, you got to probably do it about 3 to 5 times a week. So it depends on who you are, and we can individualize the prescription for you a little bit. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions?
So when we are doing the fasting, with the 12-hour fasting, what about the medication we are taking? We have to continue.
So are you referring to blood pressure medicines or diabetic medications?
Blood pressure medicine.
So generally, if you're going on a ketogenic diet, you would immediately have to cut the diabetic medications. How do I cut them? You cut them by monitoring your sugars. If your sugars are low, then you don't have to take your diabetic medication. So that again has to be individualized and prescribed in the right way. Go ahead.
The diet itself, where's the best source for a written sample of the diet?
So what is the best source for a written sample of the diet? Your Facebook page. Melissa runs a Facebook page, Eat Mostly Fat. You can go there. You have all kinds of information from our group. There are several people who are posting recipes. But basically, if you want an idiot's guide to this diet, that is, I would say the idiot's guide to this diet is just eat animal sourced food. So food from animals, like I go on my bike ride out where there is only Jack in the Box. And I go to Jack in the Box and I eat. I eat the burger, the patty of the burger and cheese. And I throw off the mayo, I throw off the bun, I throw off the lettuce, I throw off the ketchup. So basically I'm eating cheese and the patty. So people ask me, I'm not able to do it because I'm not in an environment where I can find food. I'm a cardiologist, I'm very busy. I have never been in an environment in which I can say I didn't find food to eat. So I can always find food to eat, and that food is mostly fat and it's mostly animal based. You shouldn't have to feel compelled to eat any vegetable based food unless you're constipated.
What's with the lettuce?
Lettuce?
What was wrong with the lettuce? Yeah.
So what is wrong with the lettuce is the question, and that's a very good question. Nothing wrong with the lettuce. The lettuce is low in carbs, high in fiber, and basically adds roughage, and it could be okay for you to take. I would just say that instead of prolonging that conversation about it, I want you to go to one of our YouTube videos that talks about role of fiber in human diet. And you would be surprised to find that role of fiber in human diet is not as strong. So roughly about 35 to 50 grams of fiber is all you need. And Americans are consuming way too much fiber, over 100 grams per day. And that can have some adverse health consequences because when you have fiber in your stomach, you don't absorb the protein, you neutralize the acid, you don't absorb certain important vitamins and minerals that you should absorb. And that may not be relevant at your age, but as you get older, your body makes less stomach acid. And when you make less stomach acid, the fiber in there will neutralize or will prevent the absorption of certain important minerals and chemicals.
You told me to take vinegar, so what does that do?
So the question is about apple cider vinegar. So what I advise is that let me answer it by asking you guys a question. As we get older, do you think our stomach acid levels go down or go up? Go down, just like we lose vision. Let me ask you another question. Is acid reflux a manifestation of high stomach acid or low stomach acid? So low stomach, I mean, you guys are really good. So one of the treatments that I recommend that I do myself is that every morning I squeeze a lemon and I put 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and I drink it straight up. Because I make less acid now since I'm older, I want to kill all the bugs that are there in my stomach by producing as much acid exogenously as possible. So let me tell you why. What do you think is the role of the stomach acid? Why does the body make stomach acid? What is one of the primary reasons? The food that you eat is filled with bacteria. So what kills those bacteria? It's one of the primary defenses against bacteria. So if I'm making less acid and I'm supplying some acid from the outside, I will absorb protein better, I will kill the bacteria better, and I will improve my health, and I'll actually reduce acid reflux. So that's the reason why I recommend apple cider vinegar to you.
Do you take it just once a day, or do you take it with food or without food?
So in the morning, I have my only plant vice is caffeine. That's the plant that I eat, and I have it with a piece of cheese. And cheese has very excellent protein in it, so I have the apple cider vinegar before that, so that I'm really metabolizing and breaking up the protein in the cheese as well. That answers your question. Yes, go ahead.
Is there a reason that you take the lemon with it, or?
The lemon is citric acid too. So there are two benefits. Very good question. Is there a reason why I take lemon? Lemon has citric acid in it, so that's also another acid. The second reason I take it is vitamin C. If there is one vitamin that is lacking, if you look at meat, source of meat, and you compare the amount of vitamins in it compared to any vegetable, which one will have more bioavailable vitamins? It's the meat, not the vegetable. Okay? The only vitamin it's lacking is vitamin C, and there are some people who say that body doesn't need vitamin C when you are eating meat, and meat has small enough amounts of vitamin C that you don't need to add additional. But I add additional vitamin C from the lemon, and that's another reason why I have it. Yes, sir, go ahead.
What role does probiotics play in fermentation?
So what role do probiotics play in our, I think nothing. I think they are a farce. I think that you are just paying expensive money to get probiotics, because if your stomach is working well, all the additional capsules that you're taking, they should be actually dead by the time they cross the stomach. So I'm not sure that I'm ready to say that we need to take either prebiotics, which is a lot of vegetables with fiber, or probiotics, which is actually the bacteria that you're supposed to take, because if your stomach acid is working, it should kill those. So I'm not a fan of those. So the next question is, what about fermented vegetables? Now that's different. One of the reasons fermented vegetables is different is because it has certain things that our body cannot make, and so we need to supply it from the outside. And one of them is vitamin K2. So one of the reasons I recommend fermented vegetables or nattokinase is to get vitamin K2, and K2 is very important for our health because it takes the calcium away from the blood vessels and puts it in the bones. So that's one of the reasons. Yes, Mr. Gangadhar.
Yeah, I'm just curious, if I skip the breakfast and just eat every night, like around noon time, and don't eat anything for dinner, would that still come from fasting?
So many people prefer not to have breakfast and then go have like an early to late lunch, and then you don't eat anything else.
Yeah.
I would say that's very good, because then you're eating just once a day, and that should be considered as what Dr. Ramonisa was doing. So that would be consistent with fasting. All right, go ahead.
Why do you take the D3 with the K2?
So question is, why do you take the D3 with the K2? So the proper answer to that is that there is a very ancient relationship between the human skin and the sun. The sun hits the human skin and converts the cholesterol in the skin to vitamin D3. You need about 20 minutes of sunlight in midday sun to make enough vitamin D3 for you, and it has to be in summertime. In this climate, in Houston, you don't make any vitamin D between November and February, because the sun is coming at an angle and it's not has the rays, doesn't have the UVB rays in it for you to make vitamin D. If you're dark like me, you are even more out of luck, because you need much more sun to make vitamin D. In fact, one of the things that they say is one of the reasons why we were able to move away from equator and have life in the temperate zone and in the Arctic is because we lost the gene for pigmentation and we could get vitamin D from sunlight. So if you want to spend 20 minutes in midday sun, which I try to do a lot, my office really says, hey Dr. Lee, you're going on a vitamin D bike ride, right? She laughed, I guess. So I like to get my vitamin D from sunlight. If I don't get it from sunlight, that's when I take D3. because D3, vitamin D, is crucially important in heart health. I told a joke about you and you are not there. So vitamin D keeps the calcium from gathering in your blood vessels, keeps it in the bones, but it doesn't work well without vitamin K2. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. All of this is there in a YouTube video that's very, very nice. So I'd like you to watch that. So one last question and then I'll stay here because I don't want to keep everybody here. Go ahead.
I've heard something about once you get the vitamin D, you shouldn't take a shower right after, you should let it stay on the skin wall. Is that true? And how long?
So very good question. Is that after you have been out in the sun for a long time, and the way I would answer that is that I have several cycling friends, right there. And I have checked their vitamin D levels. And you would be shocked that these cycling friends have very low vitamin D levels because we spend enormous amounts of time in sun. And you come back home, what is the first reaction after you have sweated out in the sun? So shower. So vitamin D forms as a thin oil on the skin. And if you come in and you scrub, you're scrubbing out all that oil away. So I think Mr. Casabier also told me, and I practice the same thing, is that I don't wash my face vigorously. I just wash the parts that smell and try not to use soap. Is that what you do?
That's right. I run at lunch at work, and I come in, we have a shower there. I take a shower, I rinse off, but like you said, I only wash the parts that smell with the soap, and then I kind of pat myself off so that I don't rub any of the oils off.
Yeah, that's an important. All right, guys, you guys have been a great audience. Last one, go ahead.
There's a lot in the media about leaky gut, and I think all of this ties in, about what you're eating and what you're not eating, and how that way you can manage your weight. What is your perception on all of that about leaky gut?
I couldn't agree with you more. If you would let me answer it in a shorter way, the 2 diet seminars ago, I talked about why stomach acid is important for you. And in that, there is at least a 5-minute segment about leaky gut. So leaky gut is basically, what that means is that our gut cells do not want to have any protein enter into their bloodstream. In other words, our body wants to break down protein into individual amino acids and then absorb it. You don't want to absorb the whole protein into the bloodstream or anything whole into the bloodstream, because you want to break it down into amino acids and rebuild our own protein. So our gut has these tight junctions that prevent protein from leaking in. But there is something called small bowel bacterial overgrowth. That means there is increased bacteria growing in our intestines. That happens when you kill your stomach acid. How can you kill your stomach acid? You can take antacids, you can take Tums, you can take Prilosec, you can take Nexium. Your stomach acid will fall to 0. Your bacteria will increase and you will have inflammation in your gut. When you have inflammation in your gut, these tight junctions separate, and so protein leaks in. Another thing, gluten, which is a part of bread, loosens these tight junctions and lets protein leak in, more in some people and less in others. So when you see protein inside the bloodstream, what does the body do? The body thinks that these are invaders, these are things that we need to fight off, and it starts an inflammatory response. It starts a response in which it tries to kill that protein, and in the process causes inflammation. In the process it can cause Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 diabetes. So many of these things tie in, just like you said. Long answer to your question. I'll stay here. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll keep going with this.